I'm starting to not be able to tell, at least right now, where Mishima wants this arc to go, like in terms of its placement in the arc, or not. Sorry, not in the arc, in the series. Because usually after a time skip, it's like, okay, we're gonna have I usually just call them like measuring stick characters. You know, it's time to focus on showing off the character's new abilities. And I know we got a little bit of that already, but I mean, like, against random no-name fodder, I don't think anybody really cared that much. I'm perfectly fine with just getting a couple opponents that, everybody beats in one chapter, but they're able to show their cool new abilities and stuff that they've gotten, or at least new techniques that they've gotten over the last 3 years. Because now we have another big shot in the fray, and the big scheme of what's going on with Ziggy and Lendar and everything. There's now Aknoella in the big crazy fray. I keep saying fray, but makes me wonder if the Archbishop Nox is gonna, or was the same Saint Fire Nox, if he's gonna be there as well. Like, has Ziggy gotten him? Because this reminds me, the whole thing of like when the bad guy goes and converts like another, a bunch of the other big bad guys, but people clearly weaker than him, as like his direct elite unit, kind of like what Lucia did in Wraith Master near the end, or what Zera did in the Spring of 12. Ziggy's now gathering apparently these people all in a unit, and maybe Nox will be there. I assume, though, that Aknoella was going to be a machine-based person just because of her connection with the whole dragons in the series, and the dragons in this series are all mechanical. So it's either they are, machines that are born, like, organically, or somebody makes them. So it's like, okay, well, somebody makes them, but it's this chick, she has to be some form of mechanical person, just based off age and capability. And it looks like we are getting that. I wonder if, what Mishima's playing with her specifically, like, what's her plot thing gonna be? Like, is he gonna kind of do something with Witch? Like, maybe, because I was like, obviously we don't know what the color of the hair is because it's in black and white, but like, say it's like the color of Witch's, is like, or at least something similar. Like, maybe the connection what Ziggy has to Aknoella is maybe he based Witch upon her, like, when he made her. I don't know. That's just something I was thinking of when I was like, well, how do they know each other? Like, what reason do these characters have to really kind of, like, be close or to have an association? Maybe they just recently became associated with each other, or they've had some form of ongoing connection. No idea right now. But having two big bosses, like, besides Ziggy is looking pretty good for him. Like, the Eden Zero crew, like, they clearly got stronger. I don't think that they're going to be able to really just kind of, like, show up and clean house with this one. Because, like, on top of each of the Galactica members, they all have to have at least, I would assume, like, a couple powerful minions of their own. Like, a couple people that, it's like, oh, well, out of my team, these are my kind of hand-selected people of strength. Maybe they're not going to obviously be as powerful as a Galactica, but they can kind of be in that still formidable range. But as of right now, we got some stuff with, like, Rebecca, like, being sad about, like, blaming herself of, like, the chronophage turnaround. I would say, like, there's no way that she could have even known that, even if it was done. Like, any of the cases where the chronophage showed up because of her, she had no way of knowing that whatsoever, so she can't really blame herself, because it's not something that she took action and, did knowingly. Like, this isn't something that she would have probably done in most cases with the belief that the chronophage would show up. I guess with Gilst is kind of like, the people in normal got their time messed up, but now they're just going to relive it. So, 50 years, everything was back to normal. I would say, like, the only way that, like, she could really screw somebody over when it comes to, like, her power in the chronophage is, like, the people that get reversed in time who didn't, like, who weren't there however much time was ago that the chronophage ate, so they just get erased. That would suck. But as of right now, like, is it just building up for another war in the Kaede cosmos? We're getting just, like, lots of, like, crazy battles and everything kind of, like, established. We see some of Holy's crew and like her people, like, they're getting ready for their immaculate military operation, getting prepped up. Like, they know they're going to portray the Eden Zero crew and whatnot. So, something with my throat. Elsie too. Elsie's looking pretty good in this whole bit, like wanting to go after Ziggy. So I'm guessing she's gonna kind of like turbo rush to go find where he's at, and we'll get a battle between them. I don't think she's going to win, but it just makes me wonder now where all the fights are gonna be. I think that'd be really cool if Ziggy got another fight, but more of a way more of a displayed fight with a more, I would assume, combative person than Nero with Elsie, but. Like, we're gonna have to have all the other characters spread, so it makes me wonder like where people are gonna go. Like, is it gonna be like they have to fight each of them at once, or is it going to be like, okay, all the characters involved on their side split up into groups, and like one group against Ziggy, one group against Dead and Crow, and one against Noella. I mean, that's a possibility too. I mean, they have the people that can really provide the potential to fight them right now, I would assume. Like, if you put Elsie against Elsie against Ziggy, the most of the Eden Zero Crew is Shiki against Dead and Crow, and then maybe like Holy and like her crew, and maybe like a couple other members of the Eden Zero Crew against Noella, something like that. You could see more of a likely match. Yeah, I actually didn't have a ton to say about like these last two chapters. I've enjoyed them. I got behind on some of my chapter reviews, but I'm trying to get back caught up and then stay frequent with it again. At least until like a couple weeks from now, where I'm going to be moving, so I won't have the time. At least for that brief period, like a week, that it's going to mess with my schedule again. But either way, this chapter I thought was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I think the addition of another Galactic member makes me just wonder, though, like, what Mishima's pacing is really kind of looking like. Because it's like, are we going to get two of them down this arc? And then what's going to happen with the other guy, the Saint Fire Nox, I believe is his name. I'll have to look it up later, but I'm pretty sure that was his name. I actually would like the idea if he was neutral. I would like the idea if maybe he was not a bad guy, but it's really like he has the potential to be a really powerful bad guy, but he's kind of more of a gray area character. I think that would be kind of cool to have something like that, because like Elsie's kind of like more of she's like a antagonist that is reasonably connected to the main cast, but she's not like an evil antagonist. She's more of kind of just like she causes problems and is a troublemaker kind of character, moreover. Like, over the top rough, but she's not like a mass murderer or anything. So, like, that bit will be interesting. The only other people I would assume after that are going to be the Heavenly Knights. So, like, we've seen Xenolith, but in his robot, like, we don't know who Mishima has any plans for. Who knows? But the upcoming battle on Lendard, I've got a lot of hope for. And part of the reason is I think there's a good opportunity to get all of the display stuff out of the way, because we're on a robot planet with a bunch of robot characters. They could easily have minions, like extra minions. We know that like destroying them is not that huge of a deal, because as long as the bigger people are there, they can make a more advanced and more powerful version of that character, as we've seen Ziggy do with Killer and what was his name? Oh my god, I'm gonna forget that one dude's name. Was it Brigadier? Brigand? I don't remember. Like, it's not a big deal for the machines because they can build a new one. It's not like, oh man, I lost my prize warrior. It's like, oh yeah, I made this machine. Oh yeah, now we know how to enhance the efficiency of his fighting power by another 8% and like all these other things, and then it just makes him more capable and more dangerous. And that's like the cool thing about machine enemies, that I like what Machine is doing so far. He hasn't like super emphasized on it, but it looks like he is going down that pathway, at least as of right now. And that's the fun thing with like a robot enemy. It's like just, very much emphasizing of just like how machines work and the cheatness of machines. A machine can get more powerful not by training and learning new techniques and doing all this more like core advancement stuff. Like they're a machine. They can just look into where their weaknesses are, adjust them, get new parts, upgrade their components. Like, it's a whole different way of how they can get stronger and more crazy. So, well, again, it's just a waiting game. Once we get touched down on the planet, I think it's going to really tell where things are going to go. I'm wondering if this is going to kind of lead up to the whole future that Rebecca saw like way earlier with like when they were fighting the machines and the whole part where like Shiki said, you know, oh, why are you worried about like a dead cat? It's like, I would assume this is like a good spot for like a big robot battle. I don't know. That could just be a point where it was like teasing more of alternate timelines, and maybe that's not going to be one that's the big focus. That could just be one that was like a teaser. But regardless of which, I really want to get to the point where we get like, you know, characters in small fights. We don't need to have the big fights already. I just want to get some interesting, competent bad guys. They don't have to be that crazy, where we could see the characters have like a display of their new stuff and just kind of show off before we get to the bigger people, before we get to like, oh yeah, well, these are actually the more threatening enemies of the bad guy group before you get to like the boss characters. So big hype right now. I really want to see when they get to the planet and see where things kind of move about. I'm very interested in the Holy subplot. That one, to me, definitely going into this arc has a lot of intrigue, because I like that Holy, you know, I like that we know Holy's thing. I like that we know that she's planning to betray them. You know, she has it already set up. We already are aware of that. Her team is aware of that. We're just waiting to the point where like, when is she going to betray them? It's one of those things where it's like, it's not that you don't know, like if something is going to happen, it's when something is going to happen. You don't know when that is. That's the thing that makes it kind of, you know, makes it more intimidating than it might actually be. But anyway, other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video, my friend, like button, subscribe button, check out my other videos. But that, appreciate it, subscribe, and thank you all for listening. Bye.